It's hard to believe that the Celtic Manor Ryder Cup was 6.5 years ago. That was an amazing week and a bit, and has been carved into the consciousness of Colin Montgomery, who was the captain of the winning European team, but also one other man for whom the 2010 Ryder Cup will be, no doubt, appearing on his tombstone. I'm joined by him. It's Jim McKenzie, who was in charge of looking after the golf course for that 2010 Ryder Cup. Jim, can you believe that it was 6.5 years ago?
Some days it feels as if it was yesterday, and other days it feels like it was 16.5 years ago. Sometimes I do my best to forget it, and other times people remind me of it. So yeah, 6.5 years. There's a lot happened since then.
Yeah, but that week itself, it must have created the biggest highs of your career and the biggest lows of your career in the space of, well, probably no more than 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, we spent 9 years working towards it. We were awarded the Ryder Cup just after the tragic events of 9/11, so with no celebrations, there was no real marking of the fact that we had it, and we spent 9 years. We had to build a golf course, we had to build the clubhouse that we're sitting in at the moment, and we had multiple European Tour events leading up to 2010, so we were always very much in the golf tournament focus. We had one of the dry summers on record. We had no rain for a month before the Ryder Cup. In fact, we had no rain for a month after the Ryder Cup, but that week was to prove fairly eventful in that respect.
Yeah. For the sake of people for whom it is perhaps more of a distant memory, can you just remind people what some of the statistics that came out of that week, some of the things you actually went through, weather you probably haven't even seen since?
No, as I say, it was very dry before and after the event, but that weekend we had the bulk of the month's rainfall come down in a couple of days. The golf course held up very well, and I think if people cast their mind back to the actual golf itself, the inside the ropes play, and apart from the Friday morning, there really wasn't any puddles. It was all outside the ropes. I mean, bearing in mind there was 1/3 people walked through there over the space of a couple of days, and they just ploughed up. It just became like mud. And I remember being interviewed on the last day by a local TV reporter, and she said, "God, this is incredible." She said, "Doesn't it remind you of Glastonbury?" And I said, "No, the singing's better here." But it was that bad outside the ropes. It was quite extraordinary. It was the first 4-day Ryder Cup, which is something we're quite proud of. We were asked, or my owner was asked, Sir Terry Matthews, weren't you devastated that it went over to the Monday? And he said, "What? I got 25% more exposure, and it didn't cost me any more money." Yeah. So that's a positive. Yeah. It was.
I would have thought that the fact that had it all gone totally swimmingly, like some other Ryder Cups have done before and since, that the job that you guys do goes unnoticed. But that week, those 4 days, more than 4 days, just put into sharp focus the great work that you guys did and had to do just to get that Ryder Cup over the line.
Yeah, but I mean, the guys set up the golf course against the odds on the Friday, and they lost it to the weather. On Saturday, we set the golf course up 3 times due to the format change. We set it up again the Sunday. We lost it to the elements again, and then we had to set it up again on Monday. I think the thing that makes us most proud, the one that gives us most satisfaction, the one that if you ask the majority of the guys who were here, not only my own team but the volunteers, what they were most proud of, it was the fact that in 10 years' time you wouldn't look at the Roll of Honour and see, a Ryder Cup that had finished on 19 points or 20 points and said, "Oh, that must have been the wet one." So the fact that the integrity of the Ryder Cup was not compromised in terms of the fact that we played for 28 points. Yeah. So when you look down the Roll of Honour, 28 points, 20
points, no asterisk beside it.
And that's what makes us most proud.
There must have been points during those few days that you must have tried to find the nearest darkened room, gone in there and shouted, "Why me?"
Yeah, I thought at one time that I must have done something really bad in a previous life. Yeah, but I had a lot of people, particularly in the volunteer crew.
You had about 70 guys?
We had 70 guys, so we had about 140, and that sounds an awful lot, but this is a very open site. We had 1 hour to set up the whole golf course, every fairway, every green, cut and rolled, every piece of grass done, gardeners doing other jobs, people driving the the volunteer and the permanent staff, from the car parks to the site. So every single one of these people was used. But in amongst that team, there was a number of very, very close friends, people who'd worked for me in the past, guys like Angus MacLeod and Russell Anderson. And Chris Kennedy was here for the week with his partner Jill, and they lived in my house because I was living here on site. And of course, Chris has done 54 tournaments. He's probably the world's greatest exponent of hosting golf tournaments. And when things got tough, quite often it was the politics of the situation that had to be ravelled, and Chris was a great help in terms of being a calming influence and stuff like that. So yeah, it was.
And you and Monty have been through the same hellhole together. Do you keep in touch?
Yeah, I've spoken to him a few times. Yeah, he always asks how the guys are doing. I was in Orlando a couple of weeks ago and went down to see an old friend in the Windsor Club and bumped into one of Monty's vice captains, Paul McGinley. So we were having a good old chat about what had gone on and stuff. So that was nice. And interestingly enough, I was watching a programme on Sky the other night there, and it was profiling Monty, and right at the very end, he picked up a picture of himself standing in that balcony just 20 yards from us outside, and he said, "This was the defining moment of my career." So that was
more so than
nice.
winning 8 Orders of Merit.
Absolutely, yeah.
And on the back of it, you were awarded the MBE as well.
Yeah.
When did you go to the Palace, and who was it that presented it to you?
It was October that year, and it was Prince Charles, as the Queen was in Australia, and that was good because I've met Charles a lot.
Yeah.
He was really good. And
he's not a golfer though, is he?
He's not a golfer.
He's a Prince of Wales.
He is, and he knows Sir Terry Matthews very well. In fact, when I spoke to him afterwards, he asked how Sir Terry was doing, which was nice, because Terry loved that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was nice. But as I've said before, and it's an old cliche, it wasn't for me. It was for the guys, the team of guys who did it. Yeah. There was times where I just stood back in awe at what the guys were achieving, particularly against adversity. So. But it's nice for the industry to be recognised that way.
Now, since then, obviously, we talked about the fact that was 6.5 years ago. There's been a lot still happening at Celtic Manor since then.
Yeah.
Can you just outline some of the progression, some of the new developments that have been here since 2010?
Well, the important thing about the Ryder Cup was that wasn't the end of the journey. That was the end of that particular journey, and we're embarking on a new one. What's important to us is legacy. And when we put the whole Ryder Cup infrastructure together, we did it in such a way that there was legacy. For example, down 16 and 17, there was these triple-decker hospitality units that were capable of holding about 6,500 people. They now have 10 four-bedroom luxury lodges. About £4.5 million worth of luxury lodges there, which adds a new aspect to our room stock. Ryder Cup practice ground, for instance, we hold a polo event there every year. Polo at the Manor, very, very successful.
You mentioned that polo was developed by a Welshman.
Well, it's been said that the Welsh had a big part to play in the advent of polo, the Welsh Guards in the Far East and India years ago. But we hold a polo every year. It's a massive event. We hold celebrity golf here. We hold a number of big events. We've since the Ryder Cup, we've bought a local hotel off the Hilton. We've spent quite a bit redeveloping that, and indeed we're going to extend that. We now manage the local municipal golf course, Killeen Golf Club. We bought a pub locally and a bunch of rooms off Chris Evans, the DJ, so that's a very popular spot. We've refurbished the hotel. We've introduced high ropes, the Go Ape type of thing for kids archery, crossbow.
I think Sir Terry has a feeling that he wants to put something back into the community, and
absolutely,
he's really put his money where his mouth is.
Absolutely, and just as we speak today, we're closing down all our car parks to open new ones, to start an £82 million conference centre in a joint venture with the Welsh Government.
Now, you talked a little bit about that conference centre and some of the unique features that'll have and what that will bring to Wales. Can you just outline that as well a little bit?
Well, it'll be a game changer. It will bring something like 300,000 room nights a year to this area. It'll have the largest pillar-free room in Europe. It's absolutely massive. Wales has got a number of great conference facilities, and indeed we've got them already here, but we don't have one big enough for a party political sort of conference or anything of that nature. So as I say, we're building this in conjunction with the Welsh Government. And the beauty about this one is when you go to Liverpool, or you go to the one in Dublin, or you go to the SEC, which you'll know well in Scotland, they're all concrete jungles, whereas this one has a 1,440 acre property around it, so you can actually you can
breakout gardens for the people.
Absolutely. Then that will be a huge game changer for us. That will take 2.5 years to construct, and there's a lot of enabling works has been required as a result of that. We've had to close down golf holes, build new ones, etc., etc. So it's an exciting time at the moment.
So the guy that started off out in Hagg's Castle back probably in the late 70s, early 80s?
79.
Yeah, there's been a few changes since then. Do you still consider yourself a greenkeeper?
Yeah, I mean the golf is about 40 to 50 maybe % of what I do at the moment. But I still like nothing better to be out in the golf courses. And what I like about golf tournaments is that I can put to one side a lot of the things that I do for the rest of the time and go out and maybe cut the putting green on the odd occasion or whatever.
Oh, you'd still do that?
Yeah,
Keep the skills fresh.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's very few jobs that the guys do that I can't do. Yeah. And from time to time, people will say, "Oh, I didn't realise you were a greenkeeper." Yeah. So that's quite cool. But yeah, I mean, I would like to do more of it. Yeah. Like once.
But I mean, you mentioned earlier that you're managing a staff of 40 odd in the winter and 55, 60 so personnel is such a huge issue of anybody's job these days.
Yeah, but we've got a good structure here. Not only do we've got 1,200 employees at Celtic Manor. So not only do we have quite a robust structure in place as a company, but as a department we do as well. I have 2 very good head greenkeepers who work across the 3 golf courses. Excellent head gardener with a team. Excellent head mechanic, and we have 5 mechanics. We also look after 200 golf buggies in addition to the £1 million worth of equipment, split over 2 maintenance areas. Special projects team. So we've got a fairly big and unique skill set here.
And that special projects team you mentioned to me earlier, that seems to me to be a fantastic idea, because you're bringing in specialist skills and maximising the efficiency of the jobs that you're doing.
Well, they started off the one guy started off as the irrigation technician, and then he got asked to do more and more and more, and then somebody came to help him, and then it's now become a team of 4. And not only do they look after irrigation, but they've got excavators, disc cutters, chainsaws, measuring equipment. They've got whacker plates. They've got an extraordinary range of civil works equipment, and they do a lot of that kind of work for us. So as an example, rather than take greenkeepers from greenkeeping, and instead of taking them away from doing things for the customer, to say build a tee or build a road or cut through a road or whatever, this team will do that. And indeed, if we're doing any artwork on the golf course, any remodelling of tees or bunkers or whatever, this team will do the rough work. And then the greenkeepers would potentially come in and do what I call the artwork. So it works very, very well, and we couldn't do it without them.
Now, for a man who pinnacle of his career, it'd be difficult to say it would be anything other than that. When you're still in your 40s, how do you keep yourself motivated? How do you keep fresh?
Well, thanks for that. I'm 54, so that's great. No, I mean the beauty about this place is that something new happens all the time. Yes, the Ryder Cup has come and gone. We're still holding a lot of events here. As I said, we're holding polo. We have an ice rink in Christmas Kingdom every year. There's 20,000 people a week come into this. It's quite extraordinary. We have all the other kind of kids activities and professional golf, of course. So there's still an awful lot going on. And I remember when I first came here back in '93, somebody said to me, with Sir Terry Matthews, when you think there's light at the end of the tunnel, it's normally a train coming the other way, and it's absolutely correct. this job has remained as motivating and as stimulating as it did back in '93. There's just so much going on here. You know, we don't profess to have the best of anything here, other, you know, given the fact that we've won Hotel of the Year 6 years out of the last 7, and various other accolades for Spa and various other sections. We don't necessarily pride ourselves in having the best of everything. We pride ourselves in having a bit of everything, and that's what makes us so unique. And that's where the challenge remains.
Now, just one final question, really, and it's a bit burning question. Is having letters after your name, does that help you get your upgrades and flights?
Not yet, no.
Not yet?
No.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Jim. It's a delight to be able to come back to Celtic Manor. I've visited here a few times, and it's always a thrill to come here. And it's such a fantastic place. You've done a fantastic job with it. And good luck for the conference centre and everything else that's going on here at Celtic Manor.
Thank you very much, Scott.
Thank you.